XHTEC 94.9 FM, transmitiendo con 20.000 watts de potencia desde el Tecnológico de Monterrey, Campus Monterrey, Garzazada 2501 Sur, Monterrey, Nuevo León, México. 94.9 FM, la emisora de radio del TEC de Monterrey, Tech Sounds Radio. El siguiente programa es clasificación A, contenido apto para todo público.
Las opiniones vertidas en el siguiente programa son de exclusiva responsabilidad de quienes las emiten y no representan necesariamente el pensamiento o la línea editorial de esta emisora y su institución.
Experiencias académicas, culturales y personales compartidos por estudiantes internacionales en el TEC de Monterrey.
I like that.
Welcome to the space in which students from all over the world share their exchange experiences with us. Una visión única de quienes llegan a nuestro país y la travesía de los que se van en busca de una experiencia global.
When I went there,
Esto es Global Connection con Carolina Alcántara. Iniciamos.
Welcome to Global Connection. I'm Carolina Alcántara, International Programs Advisor. Hola a todos, bienvenidos a Global Connection o Conexión Global, pero en este caso va a ser en inglés el programa, así que hoy será Global Connection. Y pues les doy un poquito de introducción. En este programa siempre hablamos con estudiantes internacionales y estudiantes también que son del TEC, que hacen una experiencia de intercambio. En esta ocasión, como les estaba comentando previamente, va a ser el programa en inglés. Entonces, en este momento voy a empezar a cambiar el idioma. Y también durante el programa les voy a hacer pequeñas secciones de resumen donde les voy a comentar un poquito en español de lo que estamos hablando. So, we're going to see today in Global Connection the lives of international students that are doing an exchange here at TEC de Monterrey, Campus Monterrey, and also of students from Mexico that have done an exchange abroad. And in this case, we're going to have the country of Germany. I want to welcome Kilian Manuel Rotter. Welcome to the program, and also Andrés Saucedo Terrones, who he is a Mexican student that was doing an exchange experience abroad in Germany.
Thank you.
Welcome. How are you?
Good. A bit tired.
Yeah?
But it's fine.
How do you feel like it's Monterrey today?
Yeah, the weather a bit crazy.
Very humid today. It's very humid and we had rain in the morning, so everything's slippery.
It's a bit better, the weather, right? Because
Yeah.
it was kind of last couple of days, or weeks, it was really cloudy with a lot of contamination. But I think it's getting better, right?
Also a bit bipolar, like one day 38 degrees and the other day like 30 degrees with a lot of rain, but
Well, I'm excited to speak with you and learn about your experiences around. Well, for instance, you, Kilian, here in Mexico, and also you, Andres, in Germany.
No.
So stay tuned. You're listening Global Connection here in Tech Sounds Radio.
Crónicas de un intercambio. La experiencia de vivir en México. Chronicles of an Exchange.
Well, starting with Chronicles of an Exchange, empezando con Crónicas de Intercambio, en esta sección, Kilian nos va a platicar un poquito de su experiencia aquí en el Tecnológico de Monterrey. Well, tell us a little bit about your experience so far here at Tec de Monterrey. And, well, let's just start with a specific question. Where are you from and what do you study?
Well, I'm Kilian from Kiel. It's a city in the north of Germany, close to the Baltic Sea. And I study industrial engineering. And I'm in my double degree right now here at Tech. So it's my second semester, which is also already nearly over. So time flew by.
And what made you decide to choose Tec de Monterrey as an institution to do your double degree?
Well, I had two options. I had the option to go to China or to Mexico. And I went to Mexico 2 years ago to Campus Querétaro for winter school. And yeah, I just loved everything about it. It was a great time. And I decided when I went to China to check out the other university, I immediately knew that it would be Mexico for me, because people are just great, and yeah, life here is amazing.
And what would you say is different from the educational system from Mexico to the educational system in Germany?
Well, in Germany, a lot of the times we have like one final exam for a class, and that decides about 100% of the grade. And in here, the system is completely different. You have a lot of smaller assignments and exams in between, which count for part of the grade. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest differences. Also, we have like more lectures and less classes. So yeah, it was a big change for me.
And how's been life at Tech so far?
Really good. We have so many opportunities here, like sports, live classes, and everything. It's I don't even know where to start, because it's so much you can do, and it's really amazing.
Well, I think you have been one of the few students that it's always like doing something in campus. We have Mariana here in the cabin, and I think she could back you up that you're always trying to do something related to the campus. For instance, you were in the Cine Minutos, which is like making short stories with other international students about life here at Tech. Could you tell us a little bit about how was that experience here?
It was really nice to meet new people. I mean, you can meet new people here every day, which is great. But in general, yeah, it was nice to meet new people, to get out of the comfort zone, because that's what the exchange is about for me, I would say. To get out of my comfort zone, try new things, and maybe explore new hobbies. And yeah, that participation in Cine Minutos was definitely one of those cases where I got out of my comfort zone a lot, and it was great.
You acted.
Yeah, and it went better than I expected.
For instance, I see Andres' face, and I'm sorry. I always have that confusion in my
No worries.
But I saw Andres' face right now, and I was like, you didn't know about that experience,
Yeah,
right?
I remember he talked to me about it, but he talked to me like he approached it like, it's a small thing, not like that big of a deal. Maybe like 1 or 2 minutes in the movie, but like after seeing, I've never saw it, but like when you talk to me a bit, like this scene, like we have to like do the ad lib and all of that stuff. It was not only like a 2-minute scene; it was like a proper like movie, and like I've never heard of that before because I had like other exchange friends here, and they never told me like, I participated in a movie or a short. It's so weird, but like cool at the same time. So
Yeah, it's really totally different experience, I think, that you would do in your exchange, right?
yeah.
And actually, for everyone that's hearing us, and just so you know, Kilian and Andres are, I think, your friends, right? That's why Kilian also helped me like reach out to a friend that could come and also talk about their experience at like studying abroad in Germany. So it's also, that's why we have here Andres as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And well, that's like really nice that you got to have this experience, for instance, because I think acting is really, as you said, something that maybe an engineer wouldn't do usually, right?
Yeah. I mean, I played in a theater before, but it was like, 12 years ago. So it's been a long time. So I had to learn everything, from the start again. So, but it was nice. I really enjoyed it.
I think it's a different experience. That if you want to see the Cine Minuto, if you're listening to us, you can see it at Study in MTY, and there's the Cine Minuto where Kilian is acting. So if you want to learn a little bit or about what the Cine Minuto is and how was the experience of Kilian, you can see it firsthand in our social media. And well, tell us also a little bit more about what's the cultural well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but like when coming to Mexico, what were your expectations and how did they change once you arrived to Mexico?
Well, my expectations were really nice people, and that expectations didn't change. So I experienced very nice people, and besides that, I would say I expected good food, and also that didn't change. I experienced very good food, so I think most of my expectations were met. Of course, there were some like cultural differences which I didn't know beforehand, but in general, I would say maybe I had a little advantage because I've been to Mexico like before, even though it was only for 2 weeks. I kind of knew, and I had some friends that were in Mexico before, and I talked to them, and they told me a lot of things. So, yeah, I mean, there's always things to be surprised about still now, even though I'm here for like 8 months now, roundabout. But yeah, in general, it's just everything so far was a really amazing experience.
What was one of the things that you could say that surprised you a lot?
That surprised me a lot. I would say, I think what surprised me a lot was the differences within the country between the cultural, how much the culture is seen in the north or the south, and how different the country can be within itself. Because I mean, we have something like that in Germany as well, but it's not that crazy, I would say, because here you see like the south is completely different to the north compared like with culture and the cities. Yeah, I think that's the most shocking thing, maybe. Not shocking, but
yeah, but I mean it's different because sometimes when you come to Mexico, you might think that it's orange and teal and it's like the American movies portrayed, but it's much more. It's like the culture here in Monterrey, it's super different to Mexico City culture. And if you go also to Oaxaca or Michoacán or Cancun, even in Cancun, the hotel zone is totally different to the people where like locals usually hang out. So it's of course a thing that's like shocking for someone that's not from Mexico, or even for Mexicans. Sometimes it's even shocking because we then meet people from other like parts of the country, and we're like, how can we be like so different, but we're still from the same country?
Yeah,
it's nice. And when you were here, what challenges did you face when you were adapting to the culture?
I would say, of course, one of the biggest challenges is the language. And I mean, I'm still trying, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that's the hardest for me to get out of my comfort zone, because I'm trying to not make any mistakes. So I prefer to not try to speak, which is not the best option. But yeah, I think maybe by the end of my exchange, I will definitely have learned something new. I won't be fluent, but I mean, that's fine as well.
But I think you can already understand, like, when people speak Spanish.
I understand way better than when I came here. So understanding is I would not say easy, but definitely way easier than like talking. Yeah.
When did you meet?
Well, we met like last semester. We had like the first class of the big 4 class, the block class together, and just I think through a friend we started to talk, and we were like right beside each other in the table, but like it was just basically a coincidence of like just going out. And one time I think we went with Malta, the friend in question, and we just were like hanging out outside of the SIAP at the parking lot, and then they said like we started to hang out after class, and I mean we basically see each other like for every single week. So yeah.
That's nice. And do you think or you have seen the Spanish change in Killian's?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've seen like a bit of the way before, like a bit more closed. I mean, because it's really difficult coming from another part of the country, knowing nobody, and then you start to relate first with the people that you are from your country would like first, then like people from Mexico. So at first it was a bit more closed, and then I mean right now he's basically Mexican. So yeah.
There's a saying in Mexico that we say that Mexicans are born wherever they want.
Yeah.
There's a blank word there, but yeah. But basically that. Well, we're moving on to the next section, and you're listening to Global Connection here in Tech Sounds Radio.
A miles Miles de kilómetros, descubriendo un mundo de posibilidades. Thousands of kilometers.
Well, Andres, now is your time to tell us a little bit more about yourself. For instance, what do you study? Where are you from?
I'm from here, from Monterrey. Also, I study industrial engineering, and now I'm on my 7th semester. Yeah.
In what university did you did your exchange?
Well, my exchange was in Heidelberg University. It's a small city. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest university in Germany. I think so. I think so. Maybe. That's the thing that they tell us always, like, it's the oldest university in Germany, and it's really appealing to us students. So I went to that one in high school and in the university.
So you, before doing your exchange, you went there also?
To the same exchange in high school in Prepa Tech. You have to go to abroad, either to the US or France, and I chose the same city, the same university, but like it was more oriented into learning the German language more than studying in the university.
So you know German?
I bet. I understand. It's kind of the same that I can understand the gist of it, but I cannot speak it that well.
So maybe you can help like him to get a little bit better in the German, and you can learn a little bit of the Spanish.
Probably.
Yeah, but I think it's something that happens when you're learning a language. You don't feel that sometimes that confident to speak, but I think people know, when they know that, they're gonna be like, it's okay to speak.
Yeah, it's also with practice makes perfect, so I think that's
exactly. And why did you choose? I mean, you maybe choose these because you already had a previous experience, but maybe tell us a little bit why you choose this university when you were in high school and then afterwards.
In high school, because a lot of people from my high school, like in the other, like upper generations, they always went to that exchange. It was the one that all of the high school students from Prepa Tech, Cumbres specifically, wanted to go to. So, and I had a friend who he's one generation above me, and he told me like it was one of the best experiences of his like summer and like high school life. So he really sold it really well. So I got a bit engaged to go to Germany.
You went for a summer then?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I have some friends that made that exchange when they were in high school. Yeah, Heidelberg, you said, right? Yeah, they did that. It's because they say it's just like a small town only for students, right?
Yeah, that's also really cool, the student life. But also, it's not that much of a student life in the middle of the summer because everybody's back home. But still, the city is like really cool for students.
And why did you say to do your exchange in that university, like for your career?
Well, more focused in the university, it's always there's always a perception from here in Mexico, well, in North America in general, that the best in the business of engineering, it's Germany. So what better way to go to like the best country that there is for studying engineering in general. So that's why I decided to go to Germany, because it's the best option that there is.
And is it true what they say that the engineering? Yeah,
classes were way harder, and like also Killian said, that this difference between like a lecture, more of a class, it's like less dynamic, but you have to be like focused 100% of every small detail, and like the big exams of the very end, it's a bit difficult and a bit hard to adjust at first.
And do you say engineering in Mexico is really different from engineering in Germany, or do they find themselves?
It's more of I think, in my opinion, that like in Germany it's more technical. It's really focused on the small details and more like by the book. And here it's more like by the project, and like, okay, you know this, and try to apply it on a daily basis or like in real life case scenarios. So I think that's the main difference. I don't know.
What would you say, Killian?
Yeah, I would agree. Also, for me, I study at the University of Applied Sciences in Germany, so we have a lot of practical examples. We have a lot of practical projects to work on, and I can only compare the semesters I've been here and the ones in Germany. Of course, the subjects are a little bit different, but here it was more more of a project management kind of a perspective and less technical. Yeah, like Andres said, it was.
So it's more like hands-on here
Yeah.
in Mexico.
Mm.
Okay. And what do you like more?
Well, more of the real life case scenario kind of project because I think it's a bit more challenge. Not, it's a bit more of a challenge because you know there's not like a clear path to one solution instead of like the exam that it's only like you give 4 options and there's only one answer. So I prefer more of like you can create your own solution to it. But I don't know. Kilian, agree?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's nice to work on real life projects. But I can't deny that I also kind of miss some of the parts of the German way of educating, because it's pretty different. It's a different way of learning, and I guess it's also because I'm just adapted to the way of learning, like how it's in Germany, and that's why it was hard for me to adapt to the learning here. But I think in the end, to make that experience was very nice and very valuable. So, I think now it's good to have a broad overview about what is possible.
Yeah, because I think in engineering you can have a perspective of how there's another way of doing things, not just the way by the books, right? Because I think that Mexico, there's a saying that sometimes Mexicans are also really creative when it comes to solving problems. And for instance, I think in engineering it's kind of like that maybe, because I think maybe German engineers could go more by the book, but Mexicans are like, maybe not, we don't do that, but let's go to this side. So it's nice to have like a mixture of both, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say was your day-to-day life, Andres, in your university?
Well, first off, like going in and going to class, and it's a bit of a weirder dynamic. It's more like focused on just go in class and then go out, instead of a bit more relaxed dynamic here in Mexico, which is like, maybe talk a bit like in the breaks, or a bit more social inside the class, which I don't think it's a really good idea, or considering that class is more like just study, not to go around and making friends in the middle of the class. So, but it was a bit more. I think like that helped me to elevate a bit more of my competence as an engineer. So, I think that's also really good. And the good thing is going inside like your classes and then go to the Mensa to go out, like and eat at the university cafeteria, and then there you can talk and make friends instead of inside the class. I think that's a bit weird, a bit more like the prototypical life of a university student. I think that there's more, you could see more reflected in Germany more than here, because here, I mean, as a local, I always go class, and many of the times is go class and then go back home, and that's it. But there it's more like, okay, university is a bigger part in your life, that your friends revolve around university and all that stuff. So I think it's a richer experience going over there in Germany to appreciate what really is a university life in general.
And how was your experience in meeting other people from Germany or other cultures where you were in exchange?
Well, first off, we sometimes get the misconception that Germans are a bit more close-minded and colder, but in my experience, it's not the case at all. It's really cool to go abroad and saying I'm from Mexico, and people really interested in like your background, and not only the tacos, or in the US Cinco de Mayo, which doesn't mean anything at all, but over there, like, people know a bit more and they are like really intrigued about, or in my case in the university life, a bit more intrigued about why like the differences in culture and like how similar sometimes they might be. So, and then you start seeing as more in the south, you see like German culture, it's really similar to Mexican culture in a lot of sense, more than you might think so. So
Why?
well, first off, kind of the music, the northern music, it's really similar to the Bavarian music, I think, or like the really traditional polka of German. So that's also like one thing that I remember going on a hike, and we were on a small restaurant in the middle of a mountain. That also kind of weird, but and then they started playing traditional music, and it kind of sounded really similar to northern music, and I was like, I kind of get the feeling back home. So so those things, and like people going really like I think they're like warmer than. So also it's kind of cool that it reminded me a bit back home, and also every small chance they like. I had a friend over there in Valentino. He every single like small chance he really liked the Mexican culture, and he like invited me to some small Mexican place that he knew. So I get a bit nostalgic just enough. So yeah.
And would you say, for instance, that Bavarian people are really different from other people around Germany?
Yeah. It's kind of the same as here in Mexico. You see people from Mexico City are a bit more open, stereotypically open than people from the north. So it's kind of like the same over there. It's like you see also they're really different in certain like small things that they do on the daily basis, but like the main thing that I could perceive, it's also like the language. It's so weird, like you go from city to city, well, from state to state, and you see like the big difference in the language. And as a guy that it's my third language, it's also a bit weird because you learn something in school and then you see another thing in like real life, and you get like way much of a blunder than you expected. But yeah.
What would you say would be the equivalent of a Bavarian person here in Mexico? Like,
I think probably it would be more of a personally probably more like in the south, because Bavarians are a bit more open. In my experience, at the first hand experience, they're a bit more open. But as time goes by, I think Bavarians are a bit like more in the kind of like the north. They're like really open at first, but then I think the coolest people are from a bit more in the north, because they're like consistently like open instead of like the Bavarians who are like. I had also like a friend here, and she was like at first really open to everybody, and she was really cool, but then she started to like, she had too many friends and she was like too popular, so it was kind of like a bit weird, you know. So
oh, it's nice to see the contrast. Like sometimes, like I mean, you were Bavarian, right? You were
No.
you said
I'm from the north, so but I agree to what Andres
yeah?
is saying, because I mean in the north I would agree that we are a bit colder, and but I think once we open up, we can like open up a bit more maybe. And then I think what Andres said, we stay with a closer, like smaller circle maybe, and then but with that circle we start getting really close. And also the language definitely is a big change from north to south. Some people in Bavaria, I don't even understand what they are saying when they talk. So
at the beginning you said you were from then
Kiel,
but you said then another word afterwards. What was like? I'm from Kiev and
from Kiel.
no,
It's
but
in the north.
how do you say? So, like for instance, when you're from Montreal, you say I'm Regia. What would you say? You're
I would say I'm Kieler, but
Kiel.
So Kiel is 1 hour north from Hamburg, so it's
okay.
like pretty north.
So you got to see that perspective from another person from another part that you were not in when you were in your exchange.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. Well, we're going to go to a small break and we're going to be back with another set of questions about your experience. So keep listening to us. You're hearing Global Connection here in Tech Sounds Radio. Están escuchando Conexión Global y seguimos.
¿Juegas básquetbol? Arma tu equipo y compite con los mejores en la duela del Wellness Center del TEC de Monterrey. Borregos 3x3 Hoop Fest. Equipos de 3 y hasta 4 jugadores. Categoría femenil y varonil. A partir de 10 años hasta categoría libre o elite. Borregos 3x3 Hoop Fest. Del 23 al 25 de abril. No te lo pierdas. Inscripciones y mayores informes en tech.rs/Borregos 3x3 Hoop Fest. Fecha límite 18 de abril. Borregos 3x3 Hoop Fest. Una fiesta de básquetbol que no te puedes perder.
Por miles de años, el arte textil en México ha sido desarrollado y heredado por las mujeres indígenas, testimonio vivo de su historia, estética y creatividad. Descubre su legado en la exposición Arte y Pensamiento Textil, herencia viva de las mujeres indígenas. Del 26 de marzo al 30 de agosto. Martes y domingo, entrada libre. Museo de Historia Mexicana. Historias que nos unen.
Universitaria, social, cultural. Tech Sounds Radio 94.9 FM, la emisora de radio del TEC de Monterrey. El desafío, la integración cultural, The Challenge.
Y ahora sí seguimos, estamos de vuelta del corte comercial y pues recuerden que están escuchando Global Connection aquí en Tech Sounds Radio y estamos con Andrés y Kilian que nos están contando un poquito sus experiencias en su intercambio. Y ahorita continuamos con la siguiente sección que es The Challenge. Bueno, pues en esta sección es un poquito hablar sobre las diferencias culturales y más que nada algunos desafíos que presentaron durante su intercambio. Y como les comentaba hace rato, si apenas están sintonizando, este programa es en inglés y pues voy a cambiar ahora a el idioma inglés. So tell us a little bit about what challenges you experience, well, for instance, here in Mexico and in Germany.
Okay, so yeah, one of the main challenges with friends, I would say, was making plans because it's very spontaneously here sometimes, and yeah, different when it comes to punctuality. That's something I needed to adapt to because yeah, back in Germany, I would say I'm pretty punctual, and I think most of my friends are. I mean, I have some friends in Germany that are not, but here it's a different story, and it took me some time to adapt to it. But yeah, I think I've become more relaxed when it comes to that kind of topics now.
At the beginning, how did you feel when people were not on time?
Well, it didn't feel that good because I mean I was used to be on time myself, and that's what I expect from my like from the other part as well, to be on time. But of course, I'm not in Germany, so of course I can't expect everyone to behave like in my home country. So yeah, that's something I needed to adapt to. But I think I did pretty good.
Would you say like not being, because you were saying some friends in Germany are not usually sometimes on time there. Being not on time in Germany, is it different from being not on time in Mexico?
Yeah, I feel like here people don't really care that much if you're not on time. And I feel like in Germany it's more, it's a bigger deal. If you're not on time, then, for example, when you're not on time in a lecture, the professor will say something and be like, yeah, next time please come punctual. And here, yeah, most of the times people just walk in and sit down as if nothing happens and start talking to their friends. And yeah, that's the complete opposite to what Andres said earlier, that classes here are like for making friends kind of, and in Germany it's like for focusing and not talking.
Well, you actually like met in a class, right?
Yeah, so,
so we
kind
can
of ironic.
see that example, yeah. And what would you say it was your challenge?
Well, first off, also kind of like the punctuality, because like here the 15 minutes of grace is at one time, 15 minutes after, but I think in Germany it's like 15 minutes before the time it's your 15 minutes of grace, so getting adapted to the thing. Also, it was the first time living alone, and also getting this part of now you can do your groceries by yourself, and also the biggest deal that on Sundays supermarkets are closed. It's so weird. And normally it's the time that you are free as a student. If you go out on a weekend, like on Saturday and Friday, your Sunday it's the one that it's the chill day, and you try to buy groceries and you can't go buy groceries, and now you have to change your schedule around that. So yeah, that was kind of one of the biggest things culturally, or like a challenge at first. Also adapting to a different culture with the normal day-to-day activities or going out. It's way different. Going out on activities, it's a bit more of a very direct and more of a planned. We have to go like step by step, and I remember this one time we went out on a hike, and I thought that it was going to be like a small thing, like going out, and no, I thought that it was going to evolve into like, because there was a lake, there was many things, and it was only like the plan was only go on a hike to go to a small place, and that's it. And then we went to that place and then go back. There was not a lot of, how Killian said, more of a improvisation, or which is more common here, that you try to improvise everything on the plan or everything. So
I think the funny thing in Mexico is that we have a word that it's timeless, like ahorita. So it's just like ahorita, it's like right now or later on or never. Yeah. So maybe like when you're in another country, I think as Mexicans we expect that we have something planned, but every time we're like, okay, we're gonna go maybe on Sunday for a hike, but then we're gonna get tacos, and then maybe we're gonna have dinner as well. Yeah. So it's just like a plan that it's like we are all day together. Yeah. But in Germany, then that doesn't happen.
Well, in my case, like, so, not all of the time, but most of the times it was like, we only had this as a plan, so this is where the plan ends, and that's it. So you don't have that much of room to improvise, to maybe hang out later and all that stuff. And I mean, it's a bit good that it's not like that, because you start to become a more direct person, I think. So that's also kind of cool, and you start to appreciate things said like more direct. So it's difficult first to adapt to that thing, but I think at the end I really liked it.
Do you feel at first that it was really harsh when people were really direct?
Yeah. At first I took it a bit of an insult, and I was like, why? But now I appreciate more the directness of people around me. So yeah.
Do you feel you had to be a little bit less direct here?
I think it was very hard for me to be less direct, and I think it still is very hard for me because I would say maybe also because I'm from the north, I think we might be more direct than people from the south in Germany. And yeah, I've always been a very direct person, I would say, and that was also a very big challenge here for me, not only to be less direct myself, which I think I didn't do that well, but also trying to figure out what people want to tell me with not being direct, because it's sometimes not easy to understand what you're being told if you're not like being told something directly, and it's like it's talking around something, and I don't get what they want from me, and then that's hard sometimes. But Yeah, I think.
What was the first situation you encountered? Like you say like, okay, I cannot be this direct. When that situation happened, you were like, okay, maybe I need to take a step back of being this German.
Yeah, I think I realized in the beginning that sometimes people, like Mexican friends here, felt a bit insulted maybe because I was telling some things very directly and I was just telling what I was thinking. And yeah, and then they were like pretty shocked, and I saw their faces and I was like, oh, well, maybe that was too direct.
Wow. Yeah, I think in Mexico we tend to go around things instead of saying what we want to say. But it's something that it's, I think, part of our culture. Like really.
Yeah, it's
great.
more.
Like we have like we have, I don't know how to say, but our feelings get hurt easily sometimes. I think compared, yeah, but. But I mean, it's nice to see like how you felt when you were there and how you were like in the opposite side here in Mexico. Yeah. And what about the language for you? For instance, was it a barrier, Andres?
Yes, at first, when I first went in high school, I only had a year of experience, and then at first, I also took in that summer school. I also took classes of. It was a class from tech and a class from a language class. At first it was a bit difficult, but also hearing the language and getting really familiar with the language and the speed of the real life German language really helped at the end. And I didn't thought that I got like a bit of a higher level of comprehension until I came back and I had my first exam of German class, and it was like super easy. The last time I went in last summer for vacations in Germany, and I had like a year of not speaking and learning German actively. So only for 3 weeks of getting familiar again, I understood the language a bit more, and also like hanging with Gillian and Jens and Mata. When they speak at the normal pace and like the words they say, you start to at first it's really difficult, but at the end you start to understand the context of what they are saying or the general flow of the conversation. So it's really difficult at first, and then it gets easier as time goes by.
I think you have a similar experience, right?
Yeah, definitely.
With Spanish.
Yeah, it's in the beginning, of course, it was hard. I had some Spanish classes before I came here, but pretty basic, like A1 level. And I've been to Spain for 4 weeks for a language class, but yeah, that class was a bit old, and we learned how to talk in an internet cafe. So that was not really, not really fitting the time. But in the end, I came here with A1 level, and yeah, I could speak like the basics, tell who I am, and now I can at least maybe have a basic conversation. But I understand way more than in the beginning.
I think it's really nice, like, to understand at least the language, because maybe you don't feel that comfortable speaking it, but at least understanding, if someone is saying something about you in another language, like, I understand you. Even if my face doesn't seem that I'm from here, I can tell what you're saying. There's always these jokes of people like going abroad and having conversations with other people, like, for example, in English, and there's someone from the country speaking the native language, and they are like, oh my god, this person did something right. And then the person understands what they were saying, and they say like hello in the language. So it's like a really nice satisfaction that you can at least understand when you are there. So yeah, I think that's something like you need to give yourself a pat in the back and be like, I did it, because I mean, having a third language it's always
really
a challenge. Well, we're moving on with the next section, and remember that you're listening to Tech Sounds Radio, and you're listening to the program Global Connection.
Impacto positivo. Resultados de una experiencia académica. Positive Impact.
Well, in positive impact is more about saying what was like the nicest things that you take from your exchange, and what did you like the most. How, maybe start by saying, how do you think this experience changed your life and it's changing your life, for instance?
Okay, yeah. Well, for me, I would say one really big part is being more grateful for what I have, not only in Germany, but also here, that I'm able to do this. And also what really changed my life, I would say, was the hospitality here in Mexico. Like, to see how nice all the people are and how welcoming, because, yeah, I went to all kinds of places, and everywhere people were really nice and very welcoming, very warm-hearted. And, yeah, I can't remember a bad experience, to be honest. It was, yeah, positive throughout everything, and yeah, it was just really amazing, and I'm happy that I was able to do that and still do it.
Yeah, I mean, that the nice thing, even though at the beginning you were saying like it's almost over, but it's almost, when you see it in retrospective, that it's like you already have been a year almost here. But I mean, a year, it's still like year. I mean, there's still like 4 months to go. Well, 3 months to go, I think. 3 months to go. So, yeah. I mean, but you're still here. So squeeze it and take the biggest amount of juice that you can take still from your experience.
That's the goal, yeah.
And what about you, Andres?
For me, actually, it prepared me to what real adult life is. That it's not only, you start to appreciate what you have here, and also, as Killian said, like what you have home, and also the independence that you have abroad on your own. Also, like the going back to the communication part, that people tend to be more direct, also helps you personally, because you become a bit of an assertive person, instead of, like the Mexican way to beat around the bush, and instead of saying everything directly. So that really helped me to, well, in a personal level and also a professional level. And also, before I was a bit more of a introvert, and now, well, as they say, it's either like kill or die, that mentality that you have to go out and make friends, and because if not, it's going to be a really bad exchange, it's going to be a really bad experience. So you have to go out and try to go out of your comfort zone. So I think that's the main thing that I take off the exchange abroad.
And did you feel that you were saying that you are more direct now? And how would you say it? Is it like the German direct, that that direct?
No. Not that level of directness, but I mean, a bit more direct that the Mexicans are normally used to. So.
Yeah. So like in a Mexican way, like not that harsh, but still like a little bit more to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think generally in Mexico, we're a culture that it's, as you were saying, like it's really welcoming. Like everyone says that, and it's nice that it's actually something that it like people see it, right? And I think as a positive thing that you can also maybe share about, it's what about like living in another place, in another country, and like meeting people from all over the world, how that's been something that has changed your life?
I would say, of course, everything was really challenging. In Germany, I've lived alone before, so now I've lived with roommates, what was new for me. So that was a challenge, and I started liking it in the end. So now when I come back and I'll be in my own apartment again and nobody will be around, it will be a bit strange in the beginning, I think. Yeah, but in general, I would say, yeah, that is a big part. And also, What was the second part of your question?
Like meeting people from all over the world.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's something that was really amazing, because you meet a lot of like-minded people that live through the same things that you do, and it's really easy kind of to get to talk to them and to exchange experiences, because you're in the same position. So even if it's like people from, I don't know, Colombia, something like that which are not from like Europe, they are still not in their home country, and they still experience something completely new, and you can just connect through this fact, and it's really nice.
What would you say was your experience meeting other people from all over the world?
Well, so it's very similar to what Killian said, and also you start to see people, like, you don't see like a barrier between cultures. You see more of a comparison, and then you see like fundamentally, like, we are like the same in a lot of senses, more than you might think. So it sounds really like simple to say, and not like that different, or like it sounds like a bit dumb, we could say. Like, we are the same, but like, yes, until like you start to see in practice that, sure, culture, it's in some cases it might be not a barrier, but like a bit difficult to go around. But then you start to see like the person, and we basically like are the same, and you start to see people like, for example, like Killian. I don't see Killian the German guy. I see Killian. That's it. So, and then you start to embrace the culture, or like the different cultures that they are, and then there are some like really particular and like fun activities that I had. Like, it was people from also Colombia, Venezuela, and also Mexicans they were from a different university that they were over there. We had like a night which everybody like prepared on a Friday night. Everybody preferred like their favorite dish or like a favorite movie, and then you start to also get a bit into like the culture that there is, like everybody has, and also the current culture that you're living in, which the German culture. I think it's like you could see the comparisons, and you see I had like a easier transition into adapting into the German culture daily life. So that's what I take out of it.
I think it's really nice when you see that everyone is human, right? Maybe because people sometimes, when they don't have an exchange experience, they are like, maybe people, I don't know, from China or Australia are gonna be like so different, and we have all these like perceptions of what like the movies or the series that we see tell us of how people are from other parts. But when you actually meet the people, you're like, oh, okay, they're not that different from us, even though they're a little bit different, maybe the language and sometimes certain things they do, like being direct, for instance. But at the end, we are all like trying to live a nice life, and I mean, the core values are still there. And what would you say would be a reason or something that you would say to someone that wants to do an exchange but still is not that sure that it wants to do an exchange? How would you encourage them to do it? Like, say like, hey, like, this is something that you should try. Why?
I would say it's something everyone that has the chance to do it should do, because it will help you grow personally, like really crazy. It's incredible how much you can grow personally, and it's an experience you will never forget in your life. And yeah, I think if I had the chance again, I would do it again every single time. And yeah, I don't know, I would just say do it.
Yeah, also that thing that it opens you for here in Monterey. They say like it's not like a city, it's a town. So going outside of your comfort zone and seeing everything that the world is, not only like your own small world, just go to school and maybe see like the Mexican culture, and you start to appreciate your own culture also, before you start to feel a bit more of that nationalism inside you of, oh yeah, I miss this, or like I really like tacos and I really embrace the taco culture and all that. And also I think you can also make friends that might not last. That not only last for the exchange, they last forever. I still have a daily contact with a friend of mine, a German friend of mine that I still have to this day, and at least once a year we see each other. Like either she comes here or I go over there. So yeah.
That's nice. And one really important question that we cannot miss: if someone goes to Germany, what do they need to try?
I would say, because I'm from the north, I would say Fischbrötchen. It's something, it's like a kind of small bread with fish inside. And there are all kinds of variations. It's something you normally get at the sea. Because, I'm from Kiel, which is directly at the beach. So that's why I think that's something I would definitely recommend people to try if they visit the north,
And you, what would you say?
I think for Mexican, like, first off, the basics, the sausages, which is like the thing that we also know from here. The Kaiserschmarrn, it's a dish which is like a kind of a cake, but with like I think it's raspberry jam. I don't know.
Not sure.
And like sugar, it's really, really, really tasty. And also, if you're over 18, like the beer, because outside of like they have like a really like flavorful, and also that thing that it's really cool. Every single small city has like its own brewery, and they're like really honored by it, and they're more inclined to drinking the local stuff than the general stuff that there is. So that's also like kind of cool, and you see a lot of things.
And for
flavors.
beer, you actually only need to be 16 in Germany.
Wow. Well, if you go in high school now, you know. But I still, if you go in high school, you cannot drink. If you go from tech, you need to.
You can.
You can get in trouble, so just be careful.
Don't do it.
Okay, and of course, from Mexico, what would you advise from people that are coming to Mexico? Why they should try, what they cannot miss?
I mean, the obvious thing would be tacos.
But I mean, there's a broad variety of tacos.
I prefer like trompo, just plain, simple, kind of, and not too fancy, which is really nice. And then all kinds of different salsas. I think that's something I will miss a lot when I come back to Germany, because I don't know a place where I can get something like that in Germany. So.
Maybe you can put up
Maybe,
there.
Well, also I think also kind of the tacos, because as you said, it's like a bit of an iceberg.
Okay.
It's like an iceberg. There's a lot of either like morning tacos, night tacos, and there's a lot of things, and might get you into another Mexican dishes. So, yeah.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. So one last like question, or is not that, just say a word that you would say that it wraps up all of your experience.
I think for me it's hospitality.
I think eye-opening. With a small thing, 2 words, but 1, 2, 1. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Andres and Killian. It was a pleasure having you. And for everyone listening, muchas gracias por escuchar Global Connection. Y recuerden que estamos en Texans Radio y nos vemos a la próxima. How do we say goodbye in German?
Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Tschüssi.
Hasta aquí Global Connection. Te esperamos en nuestras